Welcome friends, join us as we look at cameras from the yesteryear. Today we are going back to 2006, an exciting time. Tensions in the Middle East continued to rise. Pluto was demoted from its planetary status to that of a simple rock, and Gnarls Barkley drove us all crazy. It was also a very exciting time for digital cameras as all the major companies competed, an arms race if you will, a fervent battle to prove technical dominance and come to the digital market with amazing achievements. Fujifilm, of course a big player in the film industry, was making inroads into the digital market as well, and this was the year that they released their brand new Fuji S5 Pro. Their excellent sensors now finally made it to a capable camera. The S5 Pro sought to dominate its market. Now, the Fuji S5's got some interesting backstory. I mean, Fuji's been making digital SLRs for a while, but this was in the era back in 2004, 2003 of Frankenstein cameras where you take film bodies and you put multiple battery types and then cram a digital sensor in there somewhere, and they were bulky and weird and strange to use. But this borrowed from Nikon's D200 body, an excellent chassis. Feels familiar to me because I rocked a D200 for a long time. It was a decently focusing camera. This is the first Fuji camera to have an actual lithium battery, similar to the Nikon, but not quite. You actually had to use Fujifilm's versions to get proper support. But overall, this was a really big step up in the handling, speed of focus, ruggedness, and capabilities for the Fuji S series of cameras. Now, this still had the same Super CCD that you'll find in the Fuji S3 Pro, but of course, new processors, better processors. I mean, this camera really kind of brought Fuji into a capability where it could compete alongside Nikons and Canons in a very interesting way. Now, this particular S5 that we have here today, of course, you can see pink tape on it, lots of glue, stuff falling apart. I'm surprised it even still works, 10 years later, but it does have an issue. Every time you take a picture with this camera, you got to push it once, it's going to give us an error, and then push it again, and it will fire. So it's going to cut our shooting speed down in half. Not that this camera is ever a fast shooting camera, 3 frames per second maximum, and that's only if you didn't push the dynamic range boost. Otherwise, you got a paltry 1.5. All right, now I know it looks and it feels like a Nikon D200, but at the heart of it, it was a very different camera. And that's because Fuji as a company have always pushed the sort of sensor technology as far as they can and do things very differently than other companies. Nowadays, of course, we have the Fuji X-Trans sensor, but back here in the day, it was the Super CCD SR chip. Now, it did something very unique because you got to remember that back in 2006, dynamic range was terrible. I mean, 5 to 7 stops if you were lucky, nowhere close to color negative film, nowhere close to human vision, of course. Nowadays, we have cameras that really enjoy very decent dynamic range, but back in 2006, Fuji had a very similar capability. How did they do that? Just to show you a visual so you can understand, check out this drawing we did on a napkin. We're not going to give you guys any sort of nice stock footage. This is a napkin drawing. But it was really quite smart. Basically, you've got 6 million photo sites on this sensor and 6 million micro lenses. That's important to keep in mind. But behind each micro lens, you actually had 2 photo sensors. One large, designed to capture low light levels, and another one small, optimized for brighter light levels. So basically, every photo you took was kind of an amalgamation of 2 images, almost like in HDR. And this let the S5 Pro really excel in dynamic range. Now, of course, this wasn't all, fun and games. It wasn't perfect. Fuji did give you 12 megapixel files out of this 6 megapixel kind of sensor. There was some demosaicing. They did a very good job with it, though. Basically putting these 2 photos together. Long story short, we found that resolution was closer to, let's say, 8 megapixels effectively. But right now, I want to take a dynamic range shot. As you can see, the light is brutal, so it'll be a good test for this. Let's take a picture and see what we get with this ancient piece of crap. All right, so just looking at my screen here, again, we're not getting much detail. I mean, do you even remember TFTs? This thing is 2.5 inches. That's not so bad for size, but the resolution is 230,000 pixels. The dynamic range on these things was garbage. But luckily, I'm gonna hit my display key, check out my highlight blinkies. We're not doing too bad, so I think I can try and pull detail from this photo. Interesting enough too, the Fuji S5 kind of pushed the boundaries even in 2006 with the screens. This is one of the first cameras to have live view. I could actually bring up live view. I could have color or black and white. There's actually a countdown seconds, about 30 seconds, because when that ran out, the sensor's getting too hot and it would shut the screen off in live view. But hey, at least you had it, and you had it way before anybody else did. Now, if you take the time to navigate its abysmal menus, you're going to find some color profiles in here. And this is kind of interesting because you have to remember that in 2006, Fujifilm as a company was also really big in the film world. I mean, you had so many photographers shooting Mamiya RZs, they've got Provia in there or Velvia in there, and they're shooting commercial portraits and work. And so, you know, everybody really liked that color and they were very used to that color profile. So in the S5 Pro, you've got a couple color profiles you can set, and what they do is they give you a very Velvia look or Provia look. You know, and that was really nice because it did let you have the same kind of feel, the same kind of look from digital to film. And of course, nowadays, Fuji goes way beyond that. You got Astia and you've got Acros black and white in the new cameras, you know, and they actually do it by name. And of course, not many people care anymore because a lot of people are like, what was Provia or Astia? And good luck buying it. It's quite hard to find now. But back in the day, it made a lot of sense. And you know, the biggest thing that our customers loved about the S5 when they bought this, the biggest thing they loved is, you know, this is early days. They're not all amazing Photoshoppers and editors. This is all new stuff. So they could shoot S5 files, bring them into the computer, and they already looked great. They had beautiful colors, great skin tones, and you just didn't have to edit them very much. And so that was excellent for workflow, excellent when you're trying to learn this brand new medium. And it really made Fuji a very popular digital camera at the time. So that brings us to who this camera was for. What kind of photographer used it? Landscape photographers did enjoy the high dynamic range and the color, but again, the resolution wasn't truly 12 megapixels and you couldn't get big prints out of it. So it was popular for that, but not as much as Canon or Nikon bodies. When it came to event photographies, weddings, that kind of stuff, well, the problem, although the focusing was pretty good on the D200 body for the S5 and the buffer was pretty good too, the continuous frame rate let you down, and more importantly, the high ISO performance, 3200 max, and this camera started to get really soft at 800 ISO, so that kind of was a big turnoff, you know, for those kind of shooters. Then you look at, well, commercial photography. I mean, that's really where this camera took off huge. You didn't need buffer rate. You didn't really need dynamic range either, but you wanted great skin tones, great color, high ISO performance wasn't necessary. You were shooting under professional lighting. And so it was really the portrait photographer that loved the Fuji S5 Pro. So what Jordan and I are gonna do is we're gonna head back to my place. We are gonna bring our kids, our brand new babies, and we are going to compete them against each other because in classic beauty pageant fashion, that is what parents do. So we are going to take photos of these kids and probably get a little bit too into it and push them a little bit farther than we should and just show how bad a father that we can actually be to them. So come with us, it should be fun. Okay, Maddie, so listen, this is serious work. We need to win this competition. Focus. You gotta listen to me, okay? Now look, you gotta smile. I know you don't have any teeth yet. Liam's gonna have Vaseline all over those teeth, but you gotta smile with your eyes. This is important. We're in this to win this, okay? Stop crying. The other thing I don't miss on these old cameras is how long it takes to get our playback. There we go. Not the fastest cameras, but I mean, skin tones do look really nice.
Shutter on this is like incredibly inconsistent, and I have to push it twice every time I want to take a picture, which is not really conducive to great photography. Oh boy. Kids love strobes. I think that's something to always keep in mind. Liam, be all you can be, please. It's funny, it focuses really well on the center point, but as soon as I take it outside of that, the focus just falls apart. No, 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 don't play with the softbox. Perfect. Chris, if you could just continue to be like a semi-parental figure. Oh, damn, it's totally clipping.
Yeah, look at you. Yeah.
Oh, what?
Yeah! Woohoo! Capture on camera!
No! Can you come see Dad? Hey, come here. Come here. Oh.
Whoa!
Well, I hope you enjoyed that milestone, Chris. I was busy worrying about exposure and missed it.
All right, guys, so we're just taking a look at the photos that we've shot here on the Fuji S5 of our kids, and Jordan and I are both consensus. I mean, first off, it's hard to imagine that this is from a 10-year-old camera. The files look beautiful. We're getting very workable histograms. We find the S5 files, you can really pull back the highlight detail, and the shadows, even though it's an older camera, as you boost them, you don't get a lot of noise. So, I mean, really that Super CCD is doing what it's supposed to do. I mean, the only complaints that we can say, again, resolution, I mean, 8 megapixels effectively is what we're looking at, and everything does have a slight softness to it. But again, if you're shooting portraits, it's great to just take the edge off of textures and fine lines, wrinkles, stuff like that. I mean, it's really nice for portraits. Color is perfect. We shot everything white balance flash using those strobes, and the Profoto B2 is a fantastically consistent light source, but still, color is just gorgeous. It's perfect. We have to do almost no changes, and we're happy with the files. So really, really impressive, even considering that's 10 years old. Jordan and I had a lot of fun actually shooting the S5 Pro today, and just for the record, we don't actually talk to our kids that way, okay? Just so you know, don't call social services. But it was interesting. We took a look at the Canon Digital Rebel, the original one, and yeah, it's a piece of garbage compared to today's cameras, but in our video, it was still fun to use. It was nostalgic, and in the end, a camera is just a box, a lens, and something to record the light on the other side. But what impressed us about the Fuji S5 Pro is even though this camera is 10 years old, it really blew us away with its color and its dynamic range, how comparable and how nice looking the file was compared to something like the modern D7200. And we did some test samples just to kind of compare what we're getting. You know, of course, resolution is much better nowadays. High ISO performance is better. And I guess the interesting thing is, you know, you look at a camera nowadays and we get everything. You know, we get all the stuff that we want to have, but 10 years ago, you didn't have that option. You really had to pick and choose what you wanted. And I know Jordan 10 years ago, he'd take this S5 Pro out all the time because he loved the color, he loved how easy it was to work with the files, and you got great image quality out of it. You know, the S5 Pro actually did surprisingly well, and we were skeptical in the industry because this is Fuji taking somebody else's SLR and just trying to mishmash it with their own sensor and modify it. But the only reason it didn't do better is because the Canon 5D full frame came out, and that soon became all the rage. You know, it's an interesting thing because it really occurs to me that back in the day, a photographer would get to decide, do I need dynamic range? Do I need resolution? Do I need high ISO performance? And there are many different tools for that. You know, nowadays everybody's kind of spoiled. They get really brandist. They're like, I'm just going to stick with Nikon. I'm just going to stick with Canon or Sony. You know, and I guess the thing is, back in the day, companies like this were really pushing amazing stuff. And it was like an arms race. It was the Cold War of cameras 10 years ago. Everybody vying and struggling and fighting to do better. Now you look at the Fuji X-Trans sensors, which of course are excellent compared to a Nikon sensor, and again, the performance is very similar. We don't have these huge leaps and bounds. But it was a lot of fun to get back to the S5 Pro, and hopefully if we see any more of these cameras coming in the store that are still kind of working like this one is, we want to review them. So if that sounds interesting to you guys, write down in the comments below, check out our Instagram feed, subscribe to us, tweet us, and let us know, hey, we like this, we want to see more retro cameras. I mean, we're always looking forward, and maybe it's now time to have a bit of fun and look backwards once in a while. Thanks so much, guys, for joining us, and as usual, we're going to see you very soon.